Aloha, shamans, and welcome to our little corner of the galaxy here in this dimensional space called EarthStar Spiritual Center in Greensboro, North Carolina, United States of America. And welcome to all our family, friends, and our galactic star brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us and also watching us on replay also. So we are Dale and Jeanne Stacy. We're the Abbots of EarthStar Spiritual Center. We'll be your host tonight. So it is Friday, May 31st, 2024, and we are here live with Miss Heidi Fire Owl. Thank you, Heidi, for joining us.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here on a Friday night. Lots of places you could be, but we appreciate your time and your energy, and we're looking forward to hearing what Heidi has to say, continuation, part 2 of the medicine wheel. And if you're with us, if you chat, let us know that you're here so we won't be talking just amongst the three of us.
Oh, thank you, love. All right, so here we have Miss Heidi Fire Owl on here tonight for part 2 of Shamanic Life Coaching and with the medicine wheel itself. So just go back to the our EarthStar Spiritual Center channel, YouTube channel, and make sure you click on the live tab. And there you can find part 1, which we did last Friday night. So Heidi is a intuitive. She's a healer, a massage therapist, very psychic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. She's a pioneer woman. She does all sorts of things. Heidi, anything else I left out?
No, I think that's pretty much covers it.
You just do everything from shamanism to energy healing to taking surveys of the energy in and around you and helping to change that energy, right, in positive ways. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, let's get to the slides. We'll move right on here. There we go. Let me pull up the comments. Like Jeanne said, if you're here, let us know you're here and where you're coming from. Okay, good. So this is May 31st, 2024. Can you believe it's May 31st? Goodness. Okay. So this is part 2 of Medicine Wheel Shamanic Life Coaching with Heidi. Okay. And we are EarthStar Spiritual Center. We are a multi-faith church for living Aloha. Been doing this since 2002. On the left side there, you see in the clouds, that's our core principles, Aloha. So all loving God, love, oneness, heart path, and as above, so below. Okay. And remember that this is your default nature. You are spirit. You're an eternal spirit that lives forever. So you are divine. You're awesome, beautiful, and perfect. So make sure you look it, you act it, and you be that. Because that's who we are forever. Isn't that nice? Okay. All right, so tonight then we have Medicine Wheel, the basics, part 2. So Heidi, I'll turn it over to you and I'll switch the slides when you're ready to switch it.
Okay. So we're last week we went over the basics of part 1, basically. And again, I just want to remind people that this is, teaching the medicine wheel. It's a lifetime thing. I mean, it's not, so it's just like the wheel, it's never ending. I mean, there's so much stuff to learn about the medicine wheel. So just understand that what I'm teaching you the basics, and I'm just teaching you things that I have learned. There's way more. I mean, I have been studying shamanism and Native American teachings for over 30 years.
Wait a minute, Heidi, we lost your sound. I think it's freezing up. We'll see if we can get Heidi back. So I think the sound's freezing up on us today. So there you go, Heidi. I think you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost probably that last minute there. If you want to.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I just wanted to let everybody know that, these teachings are just a little tiny, speck of what I've learned about the medicine wheel in like the last 30 years. And I've studied the medicine wheel through different means and studying with some medicine elders and all from different tribes. So just understand that there are different variations according to different tribes, and there are different variations and different interpretations, depending on who you're learning from. But collectively, there's a lot of similarities. Sometimes the colors may be different. Sometimes the animals or the gatekeepers that you learn about may be different, according to what tribe you're studying with. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. And at the end, I'll share a few books with you guys that you can start with, if you wanted to kind of venture out on your own with books. So this is going to be the basics part 2. And again, this quote, I love this quote. Everything in life is sacred and everything we do is spiritual. And I cannot stress that enough. I say it all the time. Everything in life is sacred and everything we do is spiritual. And if you have a spiritual disconnect, and I'll teach this we'll have a little series, and on the next one, I'll teach about what happens when we have a spiritual disconnect, because the spiritual aspect in the East is where we hold our value system. And that is very important, because that actually just, it determines our decisions, our actions, and our mental state. So this quote is very, very solid. It's truth. Okay, so you can move to the next slide.
Okay, good. And you said last week that you thought maybe what you were teaching with the medicine with us, this could be a lot of the Lakota teachings. Is that still where we are?
Yes. So this right now, what I'm teaching with the basics this is actually based from Lakota teachings that I've had.
Okay.
And I've also had Cherokee teachings and Ojibwe teachings, and they're very similar. It's just that some of the colors are different and some of the gatekeepers are different.
Okay.
But
right.
this teaching itself will be for the Lakota teachings that I've had.
Okay. All right. Great.
So this review, a little review of what we learned last week. So you can go back to the live from last week, and the medicine wheel symbol has been used by Native people for over 10,000 years. We also learned that the medicine wheel represents the 4 directions: east, south, west, and north. It also represents the 5th and 6th, which is as above, so below. And the 7th center is, the 7th direction is in the center. But we're just focusing on the 4 directions in these teachings. The colors we learned represent different races of people in the world, in the north, the east, the south, and the west. And the circle represents the connection and the wholeness and the cycles of life, and understanding that it's never ending. We always think we want to get this life is a linear path that we go from point A to point B, or life and death. And that is not so. It is a constant spiral. The shaman spiral is a constant spiral, constant circle. So the circle of the medicine wheel represents that through the east, south, west, and north, from birth to death. We also went over the gifts of the elements, the fire, the water, the earth, and air. And we also went over the gifts of the medicine that it gives us. And so the gifts of the medicine, this is going to transition us into what I'm going to be teaching about as far as the spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental part. So the center of the wheel represents us. And we are all 4 components. We're not separate in any way. All 4 of these components are our gifts of medicine. So when one is lacking, another one is in excess, and vice versa. If one is in excess, the other one is lacking. So in order to maintain balance, we need to make sure that we are balanced in all 4 aspects: spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Okay, next slide.
Outstanding. Good. And remember, this is a live chat. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and type it right in. Okay, here we go. Next one.
So we're going to start in the East. And the East is, it represents our spiritual self, our soul. And the reason why we start in the East, and we learned this last week, was because it represents birth. So, in the again, these are just direction. So in the East represents our spiritual, which is our soul. It's represented by yellow, the element of fire, sun. The sun rises east. It's represented in spring, the morning, and birth. And do you kind of see a pattern there?
Yeah.
So, you know, the sun rises, spring, stuff starts, you know, blooming, the morning, birth. You know, none of this, you know, just kind of pay attention to these little things, because everything in the medicine wheel is for you to use for medicine. That's why it's called the medicine wheel. It's used for you to help yourself with healing, for harmony and balance. The animal gatekeeper of the East is the eagle. And the eagle represents spiritual power, illumination, healing, creation, and clarity. And if you think about the eagle, you know, the eagle is such a sacred animal, and it's a very, very, very spiritual power totem. Okay, so the East, for the spiritual aspect, it is all about finding your purpose. So when you're doing work on your spiritual self, which is represented in the East, when you're doing work, it is about finding your purpose. What are you here to fulfill? What or who am I connected to? These are questions that you need to ask yourself if you're trying to work on your spiritual self. If your spiritual self is out of balance, these are things that you can ask yourself to help, you know, journal or just meditate on, or whatever you need to do. Ask yourself questions like, what are you here to fulfill? What's your purpose? What or who are you connected to? The East represents our value system, which is very, very important. Again, because like I said, if we have a disconnect on the spiritual self, our spiritual side, we just do all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, we're making all kinds of crazy choices. We're just doing things like with no regard. We're just throwing back. We're, you know, whatever. And you know, that goes against generally, you know, people, when you think about your conscience, I mean, it just, a lot of people, you know, creates guilt and things like that. And again, then that leads up to, you know, the mental aspect, which is in the North, where you're creating guilt and, you know, things like this, and it affects your mental health. So the value system, East, in the spiritual sense, is extremely vital to stay connected and remain balanced in. It's your value system. And a question that you can ask yourself about this is, what do you value most in your life? And think about that. If you need healing in a spiritual, on the spiritual aspect of yourself, the healing in the East would be something like finding a place for prayer or ceremony. You can go within, basically you can, you know, sit and meditate. You can sit in nature, sit with God, the great outdoors, right? You can create a sacred space for yourself anywhere. It can even be in your car. I mean, I don't know how many times I remember growing up in DC and, living in the city. And I just remember having a really bad day. And as soon as I hit that driveway, turning that car off and just sitting in that car for like 10 minutes, just complete silence. And there was something about it that just calmed me down, and that just, really rearranged my whole day. And I could get out of that car and everything was fine. I just sat there and I just said some prayers and just did some deep breathing, and it just it fixed everything. So, you just find a place for yourself that feels right, that, it could be in a little room in your house. It could be a closet. It could be anywhere, at your desk, light a candle, do whatever. So just find a sacred space. It could be a church that you go to. Whatever it is, the healing in the East is for you to reconnect with spirit. And that is what healing in the East is all about. You can also research Eagle and connect with Eagle. So all of the, for spiritual healing, it's best to do it in the morning. Springtime is a really good time for spiritual balancing. So all the symbols and all of the information that I'm giving you, take them all together, put it all together when you're trying to, rebalance an aspect. So if you're trying to rebalance your spiritual self, get out in the sun in the spring, get outside in the morning, look up, animal totems or animal medicine and research an eagle. Try to connect with them and their gifts that they bring. And then ask yourself the questions of, what are you here to fulfill? What or who am I here to connect with? And understand that the East represents spiritual, and that's your value system.
Heidi, can I ask you a question?
Okay, next slide.
Yes. I have a question. Why do you think, can you hear me? Why do you think it's so difficult? Why do you think it's so difficult for some people to find their purpose?
For me, I believe a lot of it has to do with self-worth and doubt. Yeah. So, when you are connected spiritually, you basically are living in love and not fear. And when you have such a difficult time finding your purpose, it has more to do with fear than it does anything. Self-worth is really a big part of it.
It cut out there, Heidi. What did you say? What did you say it had to do with anger?
Okay. Fear. With fear.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because people are afraid to start things, they're afraid that they're going to fail. They've been told they're not good enough. They're not worthy. You're not smart enough. That's not going to work, whatever. And again, our value system, okay, has so much to do with it, because if you value self, if you value yourself, you are going to understand how smart you are. You're going to understand your gifts. So it all kind of correlates. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect sense. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful information for the East. All right. So that took
Yeah.
us about 20 after. So just letting you know. So if we go over, that's okay.
Okay.
This is good. This is good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it
Friday
is.
night. So, and we like being together and we love doing this. We know what our purpose is. Yes. Okay. All right. Next.
Yes. Okay. So the medicine of the South is emotional. So this is our emotional self, and it's your heart. It is represented by red, the color red, water, plants, summer, midday, and youth. The animal gatekeeper is the wolf, and the wolf represents the teacher. And if you know anything about wolves, they are the most of all animals. They are the most ritualistic of any animal. They have intense rituals. They are serious about their stuff.
Yeah.
So rituals is a big thing. Loyalty. They're extremely loyal, and they are about relationships. They have extreme family units where they create a hierarchy, and they know their place in that family. They know their place in their relationships. They're extremely intelligent animals. Self is about discovering who you are. It's about what brings you joy in your heart, emotionally. It's about love, trust, boundaries, relationships, and connections through the heart. It also represents our reactions and how we react to everything. So, when we say, let's get to the heart of the matter, or, something like that, that creates a reaction in people. Relationships create a reaction for people. So the South is all about how we react. It's about our relationships and our connections. If you are finding that you are reacting in a way that is unhealthy, let's say, then that means that you have an imbalance. And healthy relationships and healthy connections are actually the healing aspect for addiction. And I'm not going to get into addiction here, but I will actually do a show that's just focused on addiction and using the medicine wheel for addictions, because it's a whole topic. The medicine wheel is so beautiful for helping heal addiction. So the root of addiction is lack of connection. And without getting into it too much, when we have trust and boundary issues, we are going to have relationship and any kind of relationship disconnect we're going to have. So one of the ways that we can heal in the South, if you have issues with love, trust, any sort of emotional issues, if your heart is heavy, if you, if you're grieving, or any of that kind of stuff, if you have boundary issues, if you don't know how to set boundaries, or if you set too firm boundaries, some people put walls up and don't let anybody in. So if you're imbalanced this way, then what you do is you create a clearing way. You need to release the victim, because generally love and trust and boundary issues are all a result of you being in victim mode. That's going to create these trust issues, boundary issues, relationship issues, and it's going to create a disconnect. So one of the ways that you can do that is to play more. You need to find more joy, because that's what makes our heart sing, is joy. So play more. You can play more with your family or friends if you have good relationships. And if not, then play with your pets. Volunteer for a rescue or go to the shelter and take the dogs for a walk there. This will bring you so much joy. Playing with animals, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Or just find some sort of play, games, anything that bring you joy. Plant something. Since the South has to deal with plants, get outside, plant something. Play outside in gardens, walk, find botanical gardens or parks and play outside. So healing in the South for emotional deals with doing a clearing way to clear the victim. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And if you need some information on that, I can give you information on that. But doing that, playing and getting outside and just more play.
Standing.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Next.
Another great perspective for the South. All right. Coming up on West.
Okay. So the West. The West represents our physical, the body. It's represented by the color black, the mineral earth and minerals. It's represented in fall with, the dark, the sunsets, at dusk, and it represents our adulthood. The animal gatekeeper in the West is the bear. You see the pattern there? Fall, dusk, dark, black, bears. We think they hibernate, but they actually really don't. Just saying. That's a whole nother topic too. But the bear is the gatekeeper for the West, and it is the bear represents awakening the power of your unconscious. Bears are extremely aware. They're extremely aware. And so the bear in the West represents awakening the power of your unconscious. For healing, it is all about how will you move forward in your life. You've become an adult now and you have all these skills, or you've learned all these things, hopefully. What are you going to do with all that? How are you going to move forward? What are you going to do with everything that you've learned? What are you going to do with it? So this is where the West comes in. It's about your experiences. It's about your strengths, introspection, and expression. It's about grounding, planting, and harvesting. So all the things that you've learned throughout your entire life, like so far into your adulthood, the grounding, the planting, the harvesting, it's about taking all that stuff and creating something with it, moving forward in your life. It represents the actions that we take, moving, what we do about things. So when we make choices in what we do about sometimes, we can make a choice to be a sloth and sit on the sofa all day and just get, this big and fat and just all like whatever, we can make it, we can choose an action to not use our brain. We can choose an action to use drugs. And again, this is one of the things I'll go over in the little thing I'll do about addiction. But that's an action that we choose based on our emotional, which is the south. So our actions are, we choose what we're doing, basically. And this happens in our adulthood based on our collection of all the things that we've learned so far, our experiences, our strengths, introspection, and expression. If we need healing in the physical aspect, then we need to exercise. We need to move our body. We need to do some physical activity. Any kind of physical activity that we do creates like self-empowerment. We always feel better about ourselves when we're moving or when we're strong, right? So healing in the South is about moving, physically moving our body. It's about getting involved. So getting involved in things, being a helper to others in a physical way, volunteering, sharing, doing whatever it is that you do that's going to get you moving forward.
Oh, yeah. Oh, just to let everybody know, we got a typo there. Healing in the South should be west. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
great information.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to correct that. Of course, it's too late now, but that's okay. Okay. All right. Are we finished with west?
Yeah.
That was great. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the north.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one is about the north, and it's about our mental state, and it's our mind. So the north is represented by the color white, air, the north winds, animals, winter, night, and it's represents our elder self, the wisdom keeper. So we've gone from birth to all the way around here. Now we've gone from birth to youth to adult, and now we're in our elder self, right? In the mental mind. The animal gatekeeper of the north is buffalo, the white buffalo. And buffaloes actually, they're not really buffalo. I think that in Asia and Africa, they call them buffalo, but they're actually really bison. So just so you guys know, little animal information for you, they're not really called buffalo. They're actually bison, okay? Bison is a buffalo. Buffalo is a bison. But we're just going to give you that little information there. So it's represented by the white buffalo. It's about the buffalo's medicine is manifesting abundance through right action and right prayer. And when we get into the north and we're working on the mental or the mind, it's about reflecting on our life. It's about what's coming to an end. It is where we do spirit guide work. We deeply go inward. So we have deep introspection. We learn to share what we have, what we've accumulated throughout our life. We've become a wisdom keeper now. We're in our elder years, and we learn to share that and to teach. It's about decisions, discovering your power to distribute in other directions. Everything comes full circle. So in the north is where decisions are made. And we basically, we have to make decisions about, what we're going to do, where we're going to go, how our life and things are going to be coming to an end. And everything comes full circle. So if we want and we need to do healing on a mental aspect in the north, healing in the north, it is really important to do a soul retrieval. Call all the parts of yourself back, become whole again. We become fragmented through our life when we're compromising our value system. So we need to call all those parts back through soul retrieval. So we do soul retrievals. We do meditation where we have introspection. We think about our life and all the things that we've done and been through and where we are and, how we're going to go out. And we teach what we've learned. We share our visions and knowledge with others, and we always heal fear. So those are the things that you can do in the North if you need mental healing. So is that the last slide?
Let's see. Let me see.
I think that's the last slide, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Just one more little medicine wheel picture.
Yeah. So understanding that we are all of these. We are spiritual, we're emotional, we're physical, and we're mental. And when we have one aspect of ourself that is off balance, another aspect is going to be excessive. And when one is excessive, another one's going to be out of balance. So, the body and how we're made, we are constantly in a state of homeostasis. Like the body is constantly trying to regulate, like on a physical level, internally, biochemistry wise. We're constantly, we're letting go of toxins through, our urine and our feces and sweat and things like that. We get high blood pressure, all that stuff. All of that stuff is to help us regulate and maintain balance in the body. There's nothing, people think that it's so bad to have all of these things. They're just symptoms of an imbalance. And so we have to understand that we are this whole being, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And all of that goes together, and we need to work on all aspects, one whole collective. So the circle represents that whole connectedness, and that it's never ending. Because once you get one thing healed, you're going on to move to the next thing. Right. Because things are constantly throwing us out of balance. But I'm going to tell you that if you really have a good spiritual foundation, you are going to be able to easily work through the emotional, physical, and mental aspects. But without that spiritual foundation, you have a struggle.
Yes. Yeah. That's wonderful info. Good. Thank you so much. Good. All right. So let's
so do you want to do the last slide?
Yeah. Last is your medicine
wheel.
So
I just wanted to share this with everybody. Yeah. So this is my medicine wheel that was created. Every stone was hand placed in 2011. And the photo, we had a cherry picker on the property and we got elevated. I got elevated and took a picture of that from above. And that medicine wheel is, I can't even tell you how huge that thing is. It's really big. But so many people, I had so many drum circles around the medicine wheel. I've had so many healings, sessions for clients, just incredible healing around that medicine wheel. Personally, I've taken my animals out there, just everything. So I encourage everybody, if you are interested in learning about, more about the medicine wheel and create one on your property. You can create, there's all sorts of things. Beautiful people have created herb medicine wheel gardens, just beautiful things. I'm like a traditional healer. So I love natural, and woodsy stuff. So I'm not, none of the stuff that I make is like really fancy or frilly. So, but there's some really cool stuff. And then I just lastly wanted to share a couple of books. If you guys are in wheel for yourself, just for perspective. Sun Bear is really famous for his medicine wheel. So I encourage you to look these books up. He's by Sun Bear. He's a Ojibwe. And also and links or whatever, you can do that too. But
and Heidi, it was breaking up. Heidi, could you say that again?
These are two really good books. People are learn about the manual.
Looks like she's frozen up again, but when I'll make sure I get the info from Heidi, and I'll add those to the show notes also later on. Yeah, go ahead, Heidi. I think you're back. Yeah.
Okay,
So we got Sun Bear,
and also too. These are So Sun Bear actually medicine wheel every year. He had a had ceremony and some amazing stuff that he does with or did with the medicine wheel. He's since passed. So you can look up Sun Bear and the medicine wheel in his books. And you can also look up J.T. Garrett. This is Medicine of the Cherokee and the Cherokee Full Circle. J.T. Garrett.
And all three of us have studied with J.T. Garrett, Dr. Garrett, right?
We have. He's super special.
for many years, yes, from the Eastern Band of Cherokee.
For many years.
Well, thank you, Heidi. That was a plethora of information on how to relate
thank
to mind,
you for having
body,
me.
spirit. Oh, gosh, that was great.
You did great. That was a
wonderful
great
job.
Great presentation, Heidi.
And like I said, I'll put all the
Thank
info,
you.
how to contact us and how to contact Heidi and the book links. I'll add those to the show notes also. But Heidi's contact info is in there too. If you need any or want any shamanic life coaching with her, and that way you can contact her by email. So Heidi, any lasting thoughts you want to give folks for the last day of May 2024?
Just, we have a lot of solar storms right now happening, a lot. So just, just has really good information on there. You can also go to NASA's space weather site. That's a really cool site to go to. And maybe one night we can do a show on how, thunder and the humidity and all of that affects us as human beings. We are affected by every part of this weather that's happening, and all the sun,
yes,
the radiation, the magnetic storms, all of it. So just understand that if you're feeling off or whatever, it's no better time to learn about the medicine wheel for harmony and balance when we have all this solar stuff going on.
Oh, great advice. Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Let me share some last slides with them. And so remember, we're all living within this one collective diamond soul. Just think there's 8 billion of us on the planet. So we got 8 billion facets on this beautiful diamond soul. So find your facet, live that facet, and then that we can move on and share other facets, because that's who we are, and we do this forever. And remember, you truly are divine. This is our divine nature. This is our infinite nature. You are awesome, beautiful, and perfect. You always have been, you are, and you will be forever, because you are divine. Remember, you have enough energy to live as a spirit forever. That's a very long time. We're talking about a gazillion years, and then when you finish with that, we do it another gazillion years. Okay, so remember, you are divine forever, wherever you go, through all the densities and dimensions of life. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being here on this Friday night, last day of May. Lots of information, and hopefully Heidi will have you back here maybe next week again if you're free. I know you're a busy woman, so we'll try to work that out later, and we'll continue the teachings. So thank you for being here tonight with us. Let's end with a pow. Remember, pow is a Hawaiian way of it's finished. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pow. Good. All right. Well, we love y'all. You have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Thank you for being here with us. And you take care. And remember, be the aloha in every moment. Love y'all. Aloha.